I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade. Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who's not going to be talking about new music. I'm going to be talking about a silly old song. If you're seeing this video, it means I am at this very moment going through a great stage in my life. I'm welcoming my third child into existence. So I don't have time to think about what hot new underground rap albums have come out or whatever. What aging rocker that I've never listened to am I going to talk about? No. I'm going to be talking about Ringo Starr's song, Octopus's Garden. I'm recording this in mid-July in the middle of a heat wave. Do you remember that heat wave? Well, that's how hot it is right now. Hopefully it's cooler when you watch this. And this is part 2 of a series called Talking Seriously About Silly Songs, or Serious Thoughts About Silly Songs. I don't know what I'm going to call this series, but I do know the idea, which is that there's a lot of songs that I really unironically love, and which are pretty easy to dismiss because they're childish, or because they seem infantile. And with a child on the way, I want to praise these songs and treat them seriously. Octopus's Garden is a song of childishness itself. It's also a song of friendship. And it's also a song about the need to shelter from abuse. Did I just go that serious? I did. You heard me at the beginning stumbling through George Harrison's amazing intro to the song. I've been teaching myself how to play it. It's hard on this. You see this guitar right here is a 3/4 size guitar, so it's all up high up here. It's kind of hard to get all the notes. So we'll just say that's why I didn't play it. And I've been learning how to play it, and I've been singing it to my child in utero. So like while she's in there, you know, I get my guitar and I sing the entire song to her. And at a certain point, I'll knock on the guitar, and sometimes she'll give a little kick. And it's a little cute thing that I do. This is going to be a terribly wholesome video, by the way. At the end of the video, I'm actually going to do a story time. I'm going to read you the entire story, the entire lyrics, as though I were Mr. Rogers. And the thing about Octopus's Garden is it's on Abbey Road, which is a very serious album. It is the final proper Beatles album. The entire second side. Don't you know how connected it all is? Oh, what a serious work it is. Octopus's Garden isn't even the silliest song on Abbey Road. Her Majesty, silly as hell. Polythene Pam, silly as hell. Mean Mr. Mustard, silly as hell. The entire album is completely goofy. Somehow Octopus's Garden gets that reputation. I think it gets that reputation for its placement in the track listing. It's the last song before I Want You, She's So Heavy, which is the long introduction to the more ambitious side B that will happen there. But I don't want us to allow this song to get lost under the waves to the weight of Abbey Road, the Beatles' silliest album. Okay? I know. And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. Hashtag fake deep. That line is BS. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, I grew up my whole life thinking, wow, man, that's so true. The love you take is equal to the love you make. But I'm going to go ahead and say Octopus's Garden is actually a deeper and more meaningful song than the entire second half of Abbey Road. You never give me your money. You only give me your funny papers. Now that is serious. Musically, obviously, I don't have to tell you. I mean, you heard me play it. I didn't do a great job with it. The drumming is great, with Ringo singing it. Ringo is great, but what I love is the way that it's a sequel. It's a sequel to Yellow Submarine. Yellow Submarine, another great silly song, which I could talk about, but I think that gets the credit it deserves, is another Ringo-led song about the ocean. You'll see back here, I actually have an original animation cell from the Yellow Submarine with one of these great scenes where Ringo is running around under the water with the School of Wales University. Funny thing about this cell, look, do you see that? The mustache is its own cell. So you can take the mustache off. You know, there's something very underwater about Ringo, and this song is very underwater. And that's, you know, the content of the song, and I'll get more into the lyrics soon. Speaking of underwater, it's so hot in here, so humid, is that it's a song of friendship. And if you've seen Let It Be, or if you've seen Get Back, or if you listen to like the 30 minutes of them working on this, there's a video, I'll include a link to that video up there, click on the banana, of the whole band working on the song. George took Ringo under his wing and completely made the song happen. The story goes like this. So Ringo was just, the Beatles were miserable. It was terrible. John and Paul were tyrants. And Ringo and George just had to put up with it. And there were some good times, but there were more bad times than good times. So Ringo goes on vacation. He rents a boat from Peter Sellers, from Inspector Clouseau. Ringo rents a boat from Inspector Clouseau. Can we just say that instead? The guy from Thomas the Tank Engine rents a boat from the Pink Panther guy, just to kind of put it all together. And he's in Sardinia, an island in Italy. And he apparently orders fish and chips, and they serve him squid, and he'd never eaten squid before. There's a whole funny story about how Ringo just doesn't like any kind of complicated food, or he doesn't tolerate it. So when he traveled to India, he brought franks and beans with him. So, you know, there's kind of this funny story. You can imagine Ringo, this international rock mega star, but who's also just sort of on a boat, and he's kind of hiding from his mates, from his best friends, because things are so bad. This is just after the White Album debacle, and the captain of the ship explains to him what octopuses do. By the way, that's the plural of octopuses. It's not a Greek word. It's a Latin word. So the plural of octopus is octopuses. Anytime someone says octopi, hashtag fake deep. It's octopuses. So the captain explains to him that octopuses will just pick up little shiny objects and put them in front of their caves, like, you know, rocks or pieces of metal that might have fallen. And Ringo, like, has a little fantasy about this. And he realizes that that's what he wants. He wants to be in an octopus's garden, in a cave. He wants to be hidden safely from the storms. He wants to rest his head on the seabed. I told you, this is a sad song. It seems silly, but it's sad because it's this person who's in this very unpleasant relationship. I mean, whether or not the Beatles was an abusive relationship, I don't know. It seems like it was for George and Ringo, you know. It seems like it was, but I'm not a Beatles expert. Feel free to, and I'm not being facetious here. Please tell me in the comments, pages upon pages upon pages, about how I'm oversimplifying. I love it. But definitely he was unhappy, and definitely he felt mistreated. And so, like, when he says, like, nobody to tell us what to do, you know, that's that line, you know. So it's the, you know, nobody tell us what, nobody will tell us, wait, these happy you and me, tell us what to do, that nice beat, right? When I play it for my daughter, I do sometimes she kicks, you know, well, no one will tell us what to do. No one is John and Paul. Us is George and Ringo. That's my theory about the song. And I think it kind of pans out. So, you know, Ringo says whatever. He had a couple tokes and then he wrote the song. I always hate how so much of the Beatles' lightness and frivolity is reduced to their drug usage. I don't think it's accurate. Lots of people were doing drugs in the 60s. Very few of them consistently wrote masterpieces of children's entertainment, okay? The Stones didn't get stoned and then all of a sudden write a song as good as Yellow Submarine, right? Just a little point there. So he writes it, but he doesn't have it all. And it's it's George who helps him. And if you listen to this, like, composition session, it's so cute. And you hear Ringo's kind of playing it on piano. Apparently he didn't know many chords on piano or on guitar, but whatever he could play, he could play. And, like, you hear George just pulling him along and just pushing for it. And what I hear are these two sort of underclass of the Beatles, like banding together, and Ringo sort of naively going along. And it feels to me like it's a real mode of resistance. If you look at the credits, it just says Starkey. It just says that Ringo wrote it, that George didn't. And I think, I don't know, I might be reading into this, but I think George wanted Ringo to have it. I think George would have seen Ringo's victory as his victory. But I do have a sort of alternate timeline. Like, what if it said Harrison, Starkey? Right? Wouldn't that have, like, created such an amazing thought as a Beatles fan if there were Lennon-McCartney, Harrison, Starkey songs? Maybe if the Beatles had continued, that's what would have ended up happening. So we have this ridiculously simple song, just very simply put, straightforward. There's two parts to the song, but they all use the same chords. Okay, I'm not going to go all Rick Beato here. I don't know if they're diminished ninths or whatever, but it's very simple. It starts on E and then goes to C sharp minor and then goes to A and then goes to B. And then, like, the chorus is just the C sharp minor and then the A and then the B. I mean, really, there's four chords and they're just used over and over again. But the way it's made, because George is taking such an investment, he writes that insane opening line. He has one of his best solo, probably the best solo on Abbey Road. I would say a top 5 George solo just in general. And like you can hear an alternate version on the Beatles Anthology, Volume 3. First of all, they don't have the lyrics all set, so Ringo just sings the same lyrics over and over again. But you just hear just how hard George is going on the guitar here, how hard he's really pushing it through. For the solo on the version on Anthology, instead of people going, which is what happens on the final version, according to legend, it's George blowing in bubbles into milk. So I'm about to have another baby. And one of the best things about being a kid, and one of the worst things about being an adult, is the impossibility of stopping kids from blowing into milk, blowing bubbles into milk. I remember doing it as a kid. I remember each one of my kids doing it. It's one of the most universal sounds, and like earliest tensions and differentiations between parents and children is blowing milk into bubbles. Sorry, this isn't in my notes. I'm just riffing here. I think it's a good point, though. So, with George's help, it adds all this gravitas to this kind of silly song. And then we have these lyrics, these very meaningful lyrics, which are really about the need for sanctuary, about trying to be there in the shade, away from the storm, beneath the waves, in a cave, singing around, knowing you can't be found. Can't be found by John and Paul. You can swim about. Oh, what joy for every girl and boy. It's a beautiful song, and it's in a way much better for children than Yellow Submarine. Yellow Submarine, I mean, okay, I'm not going to pretend like it's a better song than Yellow Submarine. Okay, Lennon and McCartney are better songwriters than Harrison and Starkey. But as far as like a song for kids, Yellow Submarine gets all the credit. But I think this is really a more kids-like song. And we can see that with some of the other versions. There's a Sesame Street version, which you can find online. I'll include a link to it up there. If I haven't included a link, it's because I'm in a hospital, so just cut me some slack. I'll try to remember to do it, though. And it's beautiful because it's Jim Henson voicing one character and then Frank Oz voicing a different character. So it's fun hearing Yoda, Yoda and Kermit sort of duetting here. And then there's another version with the Muppets where it's actually like Kermit and Miss Piggy, again the same two singers. And there is something about this underwater thing that happens where it gives the Muppetiers a little bit more freedom because they can just have a black backdrop and they don't have to worry about gravity and I don't know, they seem to really have a lot of fun with it. But I actually prefer the Sesame Street. It's an old Sesame Street too. It's like 1970. So that's what I love about it. I said I was going to get ridiculously personal. Octopus's Garden by Ringo Starr, illustrated by Ben Court. I'm going to read this entire thing. If you have a kid, okay? You can leave right now if you don't have a kid or if you're not a kid, but I'm going to read you this story. It's story time with Professor Skye, who's very excited for the birth. Octopus's Garden by Ringo Starr. I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade. He'd let us in, knows where we've been, in his octopus's garden in the shade. Look, there's the octopus. Looks like there was a shipwreck there. All the shiny things he found. I'd ask my friends to come and see an octopus's garden with me. Look, that little friend is finding a crab. I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade. They're writing on turtles, giant sea turtles. Ooh, this is the scary page. We would be warm beneath the storm in our little hideaway below the waves. You see, look at that. See? Oh, it's all storming up there, but look at how warm and happy and comfortable they are. Look at all the little things all the little shiny things the octopus has brought down to his cave, and the octopus is watching out for you and all your friends. Resting our head on the seabed in an octopus's garden in a cave. Look, the octopus is reading to the boys and girls. Just like me. But I've only got 2 arms. How many arms does an octopus have? That's right, 8. Ooh, this is a fun page. We would sing and dance around because we know we can't be found. Look at that. Can I spin that around? I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade. Do you know what kind of animal that is? That's right, it's a whale. We would shout and swim about the coral that lies beneath the waves. Lies beneath the ocean waves. That's when John and Paul sing along with their friends George and Ringo. They all love each other, even if they're not always nice to each other. Oh, what joy for every girl and boy, knowing that they're happy and they're safe. They found a treasure. What's the octopus wearing? Is he wearing rings and a crown and a bracelet? It's a lot of bracelets and rings. We would be so happy, you and me, no one there to tell us what to do. Look at that. Oh, look, there's the king of the ocean beside him. I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden with you. Quick note, one of the lyrics that was discarded that Ringo wrote was he'd invite us in for a bite to eat, and then we would eat some pig's feet. So I think they ended up choosing the right lyrics. There you go. So I don't know what my next song is going to be. It'll be something silly. It'll be something serious. And I hope you like this series. Please tell me if you like this series, like branching out from not talking about new music, just kind of thinking about other things. I'm so excited to be a dad again. Is this video wholesome enough? God. Reading children's books. Okay. Till next time. There's the camera.